Indiana today. Elkhart's a place that has lost jobs faster than anywhere else in America. In 1 year, the unemployment rate went from 4.7% to 15.3%. Companies that have sustained this community for years are shedding jobs at an alarming speed. And the people who've lost them have no idea what to do or who to turn to. They can't pay their bills. They've stopped spending money. And because they've stopped spending money, more businesses have been forced to lay off more workers. In fact, local TV stations have started running public service announcements that tell people where to find food banks, even as the food banks don't have enough to meet the demand.
Thank you and welcome back to the final segment of the show for today. The topic is President Obama's education plan, and we're fortunate to have with us the Dean of the College of Education at Tennessee State University, Dean Millett. And of course, Dr. Millett, let me welcome you back to the third segment and to tell you how delighted we are to get all of this information from you and to simply allow you, in a real sense, to continue to instruct us in a real sense in terms of some of the things that Mr. Obama is planning on doing. And it certainly sounds encouraging in terms of the way he is trying to deal with the problem of education. Let's continue our discussion.
Okay. Before the break, we were talking about No Child Left Behind. And in reading in the President Obama's plan, it's not to do away with No Child Left Behind, but to strengthen it. A problem with the plan was that the goals were put there, but the funding was not put behind it. So the funding was left behind.
Okay.
So one thing that we're going to do, I said the two primary tenets of the plan, one were to provide children with appropriate benchmarks. There we had high goals, high standards for them to achieve. And the second one is to have a highly qualified teacher in every child's classroom. So what the president is going to do in his plan is going to strengthen the preparation of teachers. He's going to put more money into this. And I'm going to talk about a number of specific things that he's going to do. The plan is going to address the significant dropout rate. Part of this is going to be by doing assessments of children as they're progressing through schools so that when problems develop, we can catch them early on and we can steer them right back to on the correct path. Another part of the plan is going to be that schools are going to be held accountable. Schools that are not making progress are going to be held accountable, Schools that are struggling are going to be encouraged, nurtured. Schools that, particularly charter schools, that are chronically underperforming, the funding may be cut off from those schools, and we're going to take the funding and put it into programs that are working, that are making more gains. In terms of math and science, where historically we've had challenges, math and science is going to become a national priority. The president is going to put funding to make sure that every child from kindergarten all the way up through higher education has at least the resources and exposure. They've got the opportunity to make the most of math and science in the curriculum. There's a section that's going to look at English language learners, people in this country where English is not their native language, it's not their original language. Schools are going to be held accountable, and they're going to be required to have the same high standards for English language learners as we have for any other students. There's going to be credits for students who maybe they're at a high school and they want to go to college at some point. Perhaps they haven't had all of the experiences they need, but there's going to be credits where students at a high school can take courses, advanced placement courses, college-level courses at community colleges, and that will be subsidized by the federal government. So that's going to get them a leg up. And let me say finally about this K through 12 is that schools are going to be held accountable. There's going to be decisions are based on data. It's no longer going to be, we're going to keep doing things the good old way. That's the way we've always done things. We're going to do things based on what the data are suggesting. In terms of higher education, if we're looking at the college level, this is another challenge. You're going to see, as we talked about in earlier segments, a very small number of people, small percentage of our population, are able to get college degrees. A large part of this is because of the expense. I said earlier that during the last 5 years, the tuition has risen by about 40%. That's one part of it, and another part is that you can apply for financial aid, but the forms are so cumbersome and they're so difficult to complete that many people just are not able to do them, or they don't do them. So the way this plan is going to work in terms of higher education is that for families who meet certain criteria, the first $4,000 of their child's college is going to be paid. There's going to be a credit given to pay for the first $4,000.
$4,000 for each individual.
For each individual, $4,000 tax credit towards college. So this is going to make it so that many people may not have to pay much at all for that. Now, following this, 2/3 of their tuition at certain colleges, you know, what they consider quote-unquote average price universities or colleges, will be paid. So, for example, if you look at a fine institution like Tennessee State University, at Tennessee State University, the tuition for 1 year is going to be approximately $7,000, $7,500 perhaps. The way this program would work with the tax credit, where 2/3 of it is paid, that would suggest that instead of paying $7,500, you might pay $2,500. So it's going to be a significant increase. Also, in terms of the complexity of filling out forms, what's going to have, right now, a financial aid form is going to be about 5 pages long. It's 127 questions. And like I said, when you compare that with the reading level that I said previously in this country, that's going to present a challenge even filling out the documentation. President Obama's plan is going to be one where instead of filling out those forms, when you complete your tax forms in April of each year, there's going to be a box that you can check. And if you check that box, that's going to give permission to get all your tax information from your tax forms, and that will be the basis for applying for your financial aid. So it's cutting all those steps out. And that's going to help. That's going to really.
I would imagine so. Yeah, that's. Now, what about? We've got about 4 minutes. What about historical black colleges? You know, I think that they're having some real problems in terms of financial aid and et cetera. You think that this will touch some of those problems that they're facing?
I think this will definitely affect some of those at historically black colleges and universities, because what you'll see is that like many of the other parts of the country, students here are having financial challenges. Many of the students at historically black colleges are going to be first-generation college students, and many times they're going to be financial challenges. So even something as, if you just took one piece out of the plan, that tax credit, that is going to significantly help large numbers of students at HBCUs, historically black colleges and universities. And one last thing that I think that this is going to help with is in terms of preparing teachers. This plan has a significant part in preparing, retaining, recruiting teachers. And this is something, if you know, these days when people are looking for career changes, what this plan will do will say that if someone wants to go into the teaching profession, say a regular 4-year college degree or a 2-year master's degree, this will pay for their attending college, getting the entire bachelor's degree, and in return they will have to work for 4 years in a high-need area. So they may go into teaching math, science in some kind of urban or inner city environment. That will be their payment to the government for getting the degree. So there are a number of benefits to this plan, and it will help not just HBCUs, but it will help education and the educational system throughout the country in a number of ways. So at Tennessee State University, we are already starting to see some of the benefits of this plan.
So you can already point out specifically in terms of what you're doing at Tennessee State University, some of the benefits of the plan?
Yes, we're starting to see some benefits, and we're starting to see some projects that are being funded with community outreach types of activities. For example, we've got a project right now that was funded by the state of Tennessee, where we are working along with the other 4 historically black colleges and universities in the state of Tennessee in our partner schools, and we are working with them to prepare teachers to work effectively with students in terms of mathematics. So we're really working hard with the historically black colleges and universities, even right now.
From what you said, would you say that this is almost a revolutionary effort in education that the president has here?
I would say that this is a visionary type of effort.
Good.
And I think that, I guess the good part of it is that it is not just addressing superficial types of issues. It's not just putting a Band-Aid on it, but it's getting down into some of the root causes of the educational problems that we have in this country. And it's not just that we're educating people for education's sake, but we're educating people because we want to have a stronger country, we want to have a stronger communities, neighborhoods, and we want to prepare people to be productive members of society.
And of course, during this last minute, Dr. Millett, let me thank you for bringing by that excellent information today, because I think that I've heard a lot about the plan, but I've heard nothing like you've laid out here today in terms of dealing with that plan. And I think that if our audience is aware of some of the things that are going on in reference to education in this country, they can certainly buy into that plan. I think that everything you've talked about, some of the things, the areas of problems, attrition rates, dropout rates, and all those problems, that I think that the president, in a real sense, as you're indicating to us, has a plan in order to work with all of these things. And I think that you've simply given us an excellent example of how things will work if we follow his plan. I think that we will follow his plan. And of course, I know we're running out of time here, but let me thank you for bringing that excellent information. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you, and good night.